Hello class, welcome to For Honor 101. If you were here on syllabus day, you already know the schedule, but in today's class we're going to be going over the basics of how to play the game that it might not teach you. Now the prerequisite for this class is to have played in the built-in For Honor tutorial. If you haven't, go to the training section and you should go to the tutorial tab, click on that and make sure to finish it all. The game gives you a hands-on action to get a better feel for the bare bones basics than I can probably explain. I will be using basic terms from this tutorial in this video. If you're still confused on a topic from the tutorial, please let me know and I can either do a run through of it myself or I can go into greater depth about these mechanics in the comments. Just let me know. The first thing I wanted to talk about is defense. Now, defense is a very important thing. It's been moving away from the game. It's been moving away from more defense-oriented gameplay for a while now, outside of a few heroes and a few certain abilities. However, this is not a reason to ignore and neglect your defense. Now, one of the most important things for defense is what we call a read. Now, a read is basically an educated guess. And this is just as important for offense as for defense, but reads are the basis of mixing up your opponent and not getting mixed up yourself. Making a good read is also not a topic for this class, but will be covered in a later class. Now, for good defense, a very important thing you need to look for is blocking attacks. Focus on blocking and minimizing the amount of hits you take will go a long way, especially if you're newer at the game. For this, I recommend going into the training mode, go into training arena, and pick a person whose lights you have trouble with. I get hit with Shinobi lights more than I care to admit, so I pick him. Alright, so once you're in the training mode yourself and you have the character whose lights you have difficulty blocking, you pause and go over to custom movesets. In my case, Shinobi's easy. They just have a light chain shown here, so I click on that. Next thing I go to is I turn off move cooldown, which means they will just basically attack non-stop, so it's just easier. So it's easier to get blocking practice. And then I just sit here. I do this. Hit by those two right there. And I usually do this before most game sessions, just for like a minute or two, just to like warm my eyes up and get used to the timings, stuff like that. Moving on, we need to talk about parrying. Now, parrying is an essential skill in this game as it's one of the two ways to stop the most common properties in the game, unblockable. Now, as it states, you cannot block this attack. If you see an attack, which is, as you see on the guard widget, normally red, turn orange, that means it is unblockable. Unblockables can be avoided one of two ways. The first, obviously, as I said, is parrying. In order to get correct parry timings down, which can be hard to understand sometimes, what you're going to do is you want to go into the arena settings and then go to opponent timing feedback. This will give you a straight visual thing that says this is when you need to press heavy to parry. So he's on the zone again. I parry. As you see, I'm in the green zone. If I fuck it up and do it too early, I won't parry it, or if I do it too late, I get hit by it. One of the other ways you can do it is by dodging. So, as you see, I don't get hit by it because I'm dodging out of the way. Now, this can either be a dodge attack, or it can be a empty dodge. A empty dodge, meaning that way we dodge and we do nothing. So making it quote-unquote empty. However, this lies the first basic mix-up of For Honor. Now, this is the parry mix-up. The parry mix-up is a thing that happens due to the properties of parrying and dodging. Both are what we call guard break vulnerable, or GB vulnerability. Guard break is often shortened to GB as slang. During the startup of a heavy attack, the same button used to parry, you can be GB'd. The same thing happens when you empty dodge. Alright, so you can either GB or throw the attack. That is a general mix-up of unblockable attacks, or UB slang. So I set this bot to parry, and so when I throw a heavy, it parries it. But if I feint it to GB, they get guard broken because they are trying to parry the attack. And now let me set it to dodge, and the same thing will happen. See, it tried to dodge my attack, but instead of dodging, he got guard broken, because empty dodges get guard broken because they have GB vulnerability. However, there is a third option to this mix-up: dodge attacks. Now, dodge attacks will make a GB bounce as they are doing an attack that is, because it's not GB vulnerable, and they sometimes dodge the attack you're throwing. To counter this move, you'll need to feint to neutral, aka doing nothing, so you'll just heavy, feint to do nothing, and then parry or dodge the following attack. So as you see, I am going for the heavy, and then I'm feinting to nothing to parry his attack. Or I can dodge attack it myself. So what is the right timing for some attacks? Now this is dependent on the move itself, as each move has its own timing. For example, basic light attacks are 500 ms from start to finish. However, other light attacks are slower or faster, so as I said, it's very character dependent. This always changes when you can parry attack. As I said before, go into the arena settings, turn on opponent timing feedback, and you'll see when to parry these attacks. So I just have Highlander set to light attack right now, and I just go over and over again on it. This is also what I do to warm up. I just do, as you see, I'm parrying on the very edge of the last second you can parry some of these attacks, but this is just like a really good indicator to try to show you when you can and can't parry stuff. Now, after learning how to parry, it's important to remember the correct punishes for these different parries. The really, really short answer is heavy attacks give you light attacks. So if you parry a heavy, you get a light, but it works in reverse. If you parry a light, you get a heavy. Again, this is the bare bones basics. This is the most simplified way I can say it. I will link the For Honor info hub in the description to let you see character specific punishes, as they are different for each hero. So like Warden on a light parry gets a top heavy. However, as I was playing before, Jang Jun or JJ, it's a side heavy. Again, different for each hero. So if you want to learn what it is for the specific hero you're playing, go to the info hub. It has more information than I can give you in one video. Now I'm going to go over all the other types of the properties in the game really quickly. I will rapid fire these off as they don't need to be explained as much. If you want to go more in depth, let me know. Bashes are much like unblockables. These attacks will go through your guard as they either do damage themselves or allow a follow-up attack to do damage. These make the character glow orange and you need to dodge them. Undodgeables, as they state, you cannot dodge these, only block or parry. These attacks are blue and slight after images of the character. These attacks can be deflected, unlike unblockables, but more melee. Hyper armor, or as the game calls it, uninterruptible stance. This causes the character to glow white and cannot be interrupted by regular attacks and bashes. Enhanced lights. These make it so light attacks that would normally bounce if blocked and make people continue their chain, like Warlord, Warmonger, and the newest hero, Parrying. The next one I want to talk about is a category of moves called Superior Block. These are divided into 3 different kind of categories, but all have the same basis. They make a small guard appear to make all but one kind of attack bounce, then you do a follow-up attack. Crushing counters, or CC for short, not crowd control. These moves take attacks that are not unblockable and cause a higher damage follow-up to occur. Superior dodges. These moves activate on dodges and usually have a special follow-up depending on the character. All guards. These moves cause a character to go into what's commonly called a down stance, to push down on the controller to activate them. Once attacking, these guards usually do a guaranteed punish to follow these, but only one all guard in the game doesn't follow this rule. Zone property. These properties are given to zone attacks. They cannot bounce even if done to a move that has a superior block property. Most characters have a move like this, however Nobushi has it on her dodge heavy as well. Parrying does bind people to zone, however. Deflect. These moves, much like superior block dodges, engage a small window of being able to almost slide against an attack and do a follow-up punish. These are alternatives to parrying and can only be done on certain heroes. However, both superior block and deflects do not work on unblockables. This is because you are basically doing a blocking action with both of these moves. These are the basics at the moment. However, comment on this video and tell me what you'd like to see and cover, and I'll try to take these as broad as strokes as possible so they can apply to most heroes. However, and would like to see more characters specific guides, let me know. I can try to do them. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day.